Hey everyone, welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here today with Dina from Grant Season. Hi, Dina.
Hi. It's so nice to meet you guys. I know, Serena, you and I got a chance to talk a little bit after Women's Tell All, but Joe wasn't there. So, Joe, nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Serena, again.
Nice to meet you too. I'm also from Chicago. Where are you from?
Amazing. I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised in the southwest suburbs, Burridge, if you're familiar with it.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Yeah.
grew
Where are
up
you?
in Melrose Park.
Okay. That's like more city, right? Close
Close,
to the city.
close. Do you know where like Johnny's Beef is?
I only know like Bona Beef.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I think my cousin
Is that the drive-through that you
Bona
took me
Beef.
to?
Yeah, Bona Beef's good.
I went to high school with all of them. So, that's really the only place that I would go to get beef if I was going to get beef in Chicago. I'm so sorry.
Got it. Got it. I think my
Joe's taking me
cousin.
on like a Chicago beef tour of the city at this point. I've had so many different beef sandwiches.
Really?
Yeah, he loves them.
That's not like my go-to food if I'm hungry.
What's your go-to like Chicago staple?
I just go fine dining because it's just everywhere. I live right smack dab in the city, so it's just
Okay.
everywhere.
Do you have a
So
favorite restaurant?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a favorite restaurant?
I would say I took the girls there, so I'm just gonna say Maple and Ash. That's like the one place that I would take if someone was coming into town and they needed to go somewhere that was like fun and vibey.
Yeah.
But like really good food. Like I love Italian food, so I'd go to like Alina's, which is like a little spot in West Town that doesn't
On
get.
Grand.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they've got like the candles. This kind of has the Bachelor vibe in there. I love it.
I used to live over there. I lived close to there. I think my cousin knows you, Teresa. Do you know her?
Yeah, she's one of my
Yeah,
friends.
yeah, she's my cousin. So
Okay, well, that's
small, yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I did know that. I just haven't had a chance to say that to you yet.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to Teresa.
Wow. Okay.
But she
All right.
lived in your place, Joe. Didn't she live in your place before
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
moved?
yeah.
I
That's
was
where. Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
okay.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So you've been to my
That's a nice spot.
condo.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning. How did you wind up on The Bachelor?
Oh God. So how did I wind up on The Bachelor? I was going through a breakup, like a pretty long-term breakup, and I was heading to my sister's place for, I think it was like Christmas brunch or something. And I'm not joking. I had this is bad and I'm gonna get in trouble for it, but one hand had my phone in it, and then my other hand was on the wheel, and I was just like applying, like just for shits and gigs. Like I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I was watching a lot of reality TV at that time. Like I think Love is Blind had just come out for the first time. I was watching Bachelor for the first time since like years ago, and I was like, let me just like apply. I'm sure nothing will come of it. And then I went to my sister's little brunch, and I told them like, guys, guess what I just did? And I was like, I applied. Nothing's gonna come of it, but like, how funny. We all had a good laugh.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like the ball just kept rolling, and it turned into something. And then it was like, yeah, you're gonna be on. And I was like, oh shit. I guess I'm going.
Did you apply for Love is Blind as well?
No, no.
Yeah, that's intense.
I
That's
don't
just
think Love is Blind, so like I'm not even trying to like do that experience.
I think people that are applying for The Bachelor are not trying to prove that love is blind.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
It's
but
very different themes and messaging coming out of those two
Totally
shows.
different. Totally different vibes. And I'm not even gonna sit here and lie and pretend like I'm gonna believe that Love is Blind. So
yeah. I agree. I agree. I think that show to me is wild. But you
Yeah.
mentioned that you're watching it and you
The
were
stakes are
applying.
also just so high. Like getting engaged at the end of a show is one thing. I know people think that's crazy, but like I just think that's way more doable than getting married.
Yeah.
right. And before you ever even see them, you're already engaged before you even get to see them.
Right.
So it's just, yeah, no, definitely did not apply. Never even crossed my mind. I don't know why The Bachelor was just at the forefront. I think I had such a good time watching Love is Blind. I was like, what else can I watch that's like in the same genre? And so I went and I watched, I think it was Clayton's season. I think it was his
Mhm.
season. Yeah. I don't
Did
know.
you
Did
watch Jen's season?
I did.
Okay.
Once I realized that I was going through the process and this might happen, I did watch her season. And then I watched Joey's as well. That's kind
were
of
there
how I
any,
prepared.
were there any guys that stood out for you that you were like, ooh, I kind of hope that they might be the Bachelor while you were going through? Because you're interviewing as Jen season's airing, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grant was actually at the top of my list.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's always like I mean, I feel like you feel like that's a sign when you're like, I really want it to be this person, and then it is.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
Yeah.
agree. Did the concept of getting engaged at the end of, 2 months intimidate you at all?
No, not even a little. That's like the
No
exciting
way.
part for me. So prior to being on the show, I was in like a 4-year relationship and it just like wasn't going anywhere. Well, it was going somewhere, but it ultimately, I don't think that was my person. And so I always said after that relationship, like once I heal and I'm like ready, to go out there again, I feel like I'm going to meet my person, date very short, get engaged, and then elope. So that's
Yeah.
always have been like kind of my plan moving forward in relationships. So to me, I was like, oh, perfect. I get to just go and do what I want to do in my real life anyway on a show. Let's just do it.
So you're someone who is ready to get engaged and get married.
Totally. Yeah.
Were there other women on the show that you felt were aligned with that, and then other women that you were like, this person, no way is this person ready?
I think that's one of the most surprising things about the show, at least for my season and my experience, is I thought every girl that I met was on that same mindset as me. Like everyone was super ready to get to know Grant, get to an engagement, get married. It just seemed like maybe it was also because they casted an older group. Like I'm 32 years old, and a lot of the women were around my age, maybe a little bit younger. I think the youngest was like 27. Actually, Ella might be like 26. Either way, everyone had that mindset of like, we're just looking to find my person, get engaged, and just like cut the bullshit.
Yeah.
Everyone I felt that when I talked to them had that same mentality as me. So I really didn't feel like anyone was there just like, whoop-de-doo, let's see what happens. I'm not really looking to get engaged. I had never got that vibe. No.
Who I liked her. I thought she was one of the more. I thought she was entertaining, and I thought she had a great personality. But I would have probably. What was her name? I think Bailey. Bailey wasn't really giving me. I'm ready to get engaged at the end of this.
Well, I think
Bailey?
that
But
in
I could be
Bailey's
wrong.
defense, they showed her in a very fun, silly, playful light. We didn't really get to see a more
Yeah.
serious side of her.
Yeah.
Agreed. And she was my roommate actually in the house. So she's actually one of my close friends. And
Okay.
she's so funny. She's so lighthearted. She will like make anything goofy, which we love her for, but she has a very serious side too. And she's definitely someone who, if she met her person, like she'd be done, like
Yeah.
let's just do the damn thing. Like so I do see where you're coming from, but she's someone that I would say too is ready for an engagement too.
I think she'll do. I don't know if she's going to go to Paradise, but I think she'll do pretty well in Paradise. She's
Yeah, her
given me,
personality is
yeah,
super suited for
yeah,
Yeah.
for
Paradise.
that
Yeah.
show. Okay, so going back to night one, you step out of the limo, you see Grant for the first time. Kind of take us back to that moment. What's going on in your head?
Oh God, stepping out of the limo and seeing Grant for the first time, I just remember being so nervous. And I'm not really somebody that gets nervous, especially not when
Which makes it worse, by the way.
way worse because I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting to be nervous, right? And I actually was in the limo. Oh God, was I before or after Juliana? I don't remember, but like God, why don't I remember this? It seems like a really important. I think I was right after her. I was right after her because like they kept talking. Everyone in my limo kept talking and talking, and I'm like, listen, like I have to get in the right headspace. Like I have things
Yeah.
that I have to say.
I
Um,
was first out of my limo and I was so relieved. I was like, get
oh,
me out of this
I
thing
was
as soon
last.
as
I was last out
possible.
of mine.
Yeah, and then you have to sit and you have to watch other people go and like listen.
and people are just like chitter chattering. So if you have this whole monologue, which I did, even though they cut it to a really short thing, like I had this whole thing. And I was like, if I mess up, I'm screwed. Like, if they're going to air it. Here's the thing about reality TV that I wish I knew going in. You think while you're in it that everything you say is going to be aired. So you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I said that stupid thing, it's going to be aired. Oh, I messed up there, that's going to be aired. And you just like, I just kind of got used to that idea in my head. And I just kind of thought that that's what it's like. So when you watch it back and you're like, oh, I could have butchered the whole thing and then like just done like 4 lines correctly and it would have been fine and not sound stupid. Um, Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. It
No,
was
that's
No, no, but
so
that's
true what you're
that's yeah,
saying. It is.
that's like an important, yeah, that's
Like I felt
important.
the exact same way. Even though
yeah.
you logically know like not everything can be shown, I think it's hard to conceptualize how much you live and experience and then how
Yeah.
little is shown until you like live it and then watch it back and you're like, wow, I only really needed to like have my shit together like 0.7% of the time. Like
Totally,
I wore like the same
totally.
pair of orange sweatpants like every single day, and like I don't think you ever saw those orange
The-
sweatpants on TV.
1,000%. I'm like saving this one outfit for this particular, and it gets like 2 seconds of airtime, and I'm like, why,
Yeah.
why was I
But
stressing about the outfit?
Yeah.
and I remember going to Paradise and feeling so much more relaxed just because you can mentally be like, I know like so much of this is never going to even
Yeah,
be shown.
Well, that's what I thought. Then the second time around in Paradise, when I was just laying around doing nothing, they showed all of it
Well,
constantly.
you also were only
But
in
I
one
guess it was
episode
part
the
of my
first
personality. I
time.
guess it was part of my personality. No, I'm saying the second time
Oh,
I went to
on
Paradise,
I
when
still think
you
our
were
season.
you guys were a lot more like main character energy, in your season of Bachelor in Paradise. I just started watching it actually, and I was like, okay, it's a lot of you guys because obviously you guys get engaged at the end, and but you don't realize that that's what the editing does
right.
when
Well, and you also don't know while you're filming it
yeah.
how your story's even going to end because it's so
Mhm.
fast. So it's just you're
Yep.
experiencing it real time, and then until you've made it to the end and you're getting engaged, you're like, maybe they will show us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys are definitely getting shown. Well, I thought
How
the same thing. So yeah, I think regardless, you kind of get main character energy because like everyone thinks you only think of yourself. Like we just can't help it, right? We're human. And so when you get out of it and you're watching it back, you're like, oh, it's
Where
like,
am I?
yeah, where am
yeah.
I? It's like episode 3 and I've seen like 0.2 seconds of myself. Which is honestly a good thing because I was stressing before everything was airing. I was like, which ones can I watch with my family? Which ones can't I? Like, I just felt like all of the, worst, like cringy moments were gonna come
Yeah.
up and they just didn't. So,
It's
Yeah.
got to be a mix of like a bit of a letdown because there's things that you wanted to see that you'll never get to see back, and also a bit of
mhm,
a relief because you're like, okay, only so much is going to be shown. I don't actually have to stress as much as I've been stressing.
1,000% yes. That's exactly how I felt.
So, going back to Grant and that first moment, did you feel like you had a connection with him?
I felt like it was an immediate connection. I remember thinking he is so tall, which is one of my only qualifications for a man these days. It's like
You're
Why are
just
like
be
a
you
tall
laughing?
tall.
man.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know. I just thought that was funny. She was just like, oh, he's so tall. Thank God.
Connection
It's
immediately.
like
Connection. I
done.
love him.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. I mean, I'm 5'4", and like everyone in my family is like pretty average height. So I'm like, I just need it for the genes, you
My God,
know?
that's what my dad says. My dad's always like, we have to bring up the family average, okay? We're all on the medium
Yeah.
height side.
Well, you did that.
I know he was
Yeah.
thrilled.
Yeah.
Very lucky. So that was really it. I was just like, I remember, and they got a photo of me doing this. I'm like looking up as if he's like this. It was. I just remember feeling like I was dumbfounded because I didn't expect him to be so tall, and then I'm just like this little thing, like trying to remember like what I wanted to say. And then I could have sworn there was like a halo around him, but it was just like the stage lights.
Yeah.
That I realized later. Because it's the first time that you're in front of like lights and the
Yeah.
cameras and all of that. And I was like, is there a halo or am I like going crazy? And I
I feel
told
like
him this was the
they
first in our
really
first
make the
combo.
lead. They really make the lead like angelic looking that
Mm-hmm.
first night.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is a
They like have a
superstar.
presence to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like this like what's the word? Esther. There's a from like out of this world. What's that word?
Ethereal
Let's go with that one. Yeah. Being, in front of you and you're just like, whoa. That's
or
exactly
extraterrestrial. Is
yes,
he
that one. I wasn't
extraterrestrial?
gonna
I don't know if that's a compliment.
I was gonna say that's an alien.
It just he just didn't seem from like this world, He just seemed
Yes.
like so out of
A
this world.
figure.
A figure, right? And you're just standing there, and you've obviously done did a little bit of research. I saw him on Gen C's and things like that. But once you're standing there, and then the lights, and then all the stress, it's just like this huge moment. So yeah, it was a lot to take in, but I definitely felt that connection. I definitely felt like, okay, I think I'm meant to be here. And then,
That's amazing.
the
What
rest of
was
it.
your first conversation with him about?
Oh, my first conversation with Grant was about, oh man, I think I told him that he looked like an angel up there. Like I just like had to tell him that I saw a halo above his head, not to like inflate his ego too much. And then I think we talked a little bit about my family. I said something like, if we make it to hometowns, LOL, because this didn't happen. But like, um, I have a really big family. And he's like, oh, how big is your family? And I said, well, I'm like more of a visual person. And so I had one of those, the best way I could describe it is like like that opens up like
Yes, and it's all the little stick figures in
yes,
paper.
yes, Exactly. I was like, well, this is my sister, this and that, my mom and dad, da, 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 da. And like it just kept going and going and going until we were both standing up. And I was like, well, that's my family. And there was just like this huge line of people. And that's just like my immediate family, right? Like my brothers
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sisters and stuff. So we talked about that. I talked a little bit about his family. And honestly, that first conversation came out of my head because I was the one who got interrupted by his sister walking into the
Oh,
house. And so there was all this commotion about someone walking in, and then all of a sudden we're interrupted. And I just like look up at her. I'm like, I don't remember her from when I walked into the house, earlier that night. So I was like a little dumbfounded. And then it
yeah.
was the first time getting like interrupted too. So you're like, how am I supposed to act? Like, am I supposed to ask for more time? Am I supposed to just get up and leave? So I was like, okay. And I like left. I don't know. It was
Are you Greek?
Romanian.
Oh, okay.
Do I give
Wow.
Greek?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Oh,
thought you were
okay.
Greek. I thought you were Greek. Okay, wow.
What was your family's response initially when you said you were going on the show? I know this was kind of a big topic throughout your journey, especially during hometowns, but
Yeah.
what was the initial reaction?
Super.
How many siblings do you have again? 12?
I'm one of 11.
One of 11. Okay.
So I have 10. Yeah. There's 4 brothers, 6 sisters, and then my parents. Um,
Okay.
yeah, we're Romanian. So my parents are we're here first generation. First generation? I would be first generation, right? Yeah. And so, typically the, I guess I say timeline of like a Romanian woman, especially first generation, is you get married like in your early 20s, and then you start having kids. And typically like the guy that you get married is like someone that like your mom or dad knows, or like someone from the church, or someone in the Romanian community, or like someone set
Okay.
you up, like they like to keep it like very,
Yeah, similar to Indian culture. My mom's
very
Indian. It's kind
simple.
of a
Yeah.
similar vibe.
It's a very like Eastern European thing too, from other cultures as well, like from other European cultures too. But I've never been that way, and my parents accepted that a long time ago. I'm like, I'm not marrying a Romanian guy. Like, no offense to the Romanian guys, I'm sure you guys are great, but like it's just not me. It's not my path. I just didn't want that for myself. And I also wanted to continue education, which if I got married early, I probably wouldn't have gone through college and law school and started my career. And so my family knew that. And so when I told them about the show, they were like, that sounds like something you would do. Like, if that's what you want to do, go ahead, we support it. My sisters were super supportive of it, and my mom, because they had watched it, they had watched the show growing up, and we had watched it with them. My dad was like, they were in Romania at the time too, mind you. So like I called them, I FaceTimed them, and they were okay with it. But my dad didn't like really know what the show was about. When I asked my mom, she was like, ask your dad. And when I asked my dad just ask your mom. And so I was like, oh, well, both of them said, fine, it's okay. So let's just do
Yeah.
it. And by the way, I have to leave in a week. And they were just like, oh. So, a lot of that is on me because my dad didn't understand like the full format of the show. He certainly didn't get that there's an engagement at the end, even though I know I told him, but to him, it was just like a lot of information all at once.
So you kind of, as a child, have always led somewhat of an untraditional path compared to like what your parents would have expected you to live. So this isn't like the
Yeah,
first time you're doing something unconventional to them.
that's exactly right. And so it was not surprising to them.
And then let's jump. I mean, we'll continue with like your path on the show, but speaking of your parents, so they don't come to your hometown and meet Grant. As a viewer, we're kind of under the impression that they're just like not okay with the show, but you're saying they were okay. So then, like, why weren't they there?
So mind you that when I found out that like there was a little bit of discourse between my family about the show, I didn't get to talk to my family. I only
Yeah,
spoke to producers, right? The information that was said to me was, hey, like a lot of your family's really supportive and they want to come to hometowns, but then you've got a few of them kind of fighting and saying this is too fast. And also, we had a shorter season. Like when I spoke to my family about hometowns, I said, if I go to hometowns, we're going to be at like week 8 or week 7. I forget what I said, but it was like way later weeks because then you pretty much only have 2 weeks left until you're engaged, right? My family got notified, I think it was week 3 or 4, because they start to kind of
Yeah, they
notify
start making
the families that
calls.
they think might be in hometowns for the women that might be going to hometowns pretty early on. And so they were like, she just left.
yeah,
Like, what do
yeah.
you mean? And so that started that stirred up a lot of issues in the family group chat. They were like, you guys, she just left a few weeks ago. Like, this is crazy. Like, does anyone like actually know what's going on? And so they'd been looking on Reddit, they were looking online. There was like this storyline that like I might be a villain and that I like started a ruckus at the R&B day. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that, but there was that going on in the background. And my family was like, is this show actually about finding love? Is this show serious? Or are they just trying to paint her as someone who she's not? So that was an added element with my family. And so if you can think of a normal family and how much you guys might have differing opinions, a family of 10, 11, 12, my parents included, having all of these not speaking to me, seeing different stuff online, then thinking about the timeline, they were just fighting about it and like whether it was for me, whether they should go. And if they're like, well, if we don't go, then maybe she'll just come home and we won't have to deal with this, you know? But then if so, it was a lot of that. And all I heard was the family was fighting. They feel a certain way about it. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like my connection is super strong right now where I can get engaged in 2 weeks. I had been in LA for like 8 days since Scotland, like waiting for my hometown. And I was like, I feel like I should be missing him more. I feel like I should be worried about how his hometowns are going with the other women. And I just wasn't.
Yeah.
So that was worrying me. And so when I got that call from the producers, as I'm on my way, literally at the gate, going to Chicago, we were one of the last people on the plane. Hey, your family's fighting about hometowns. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want some of them to come? Do you want some of them not come? I said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to convince my family that I'm ready to get engaged in 2 weeks based on where I am right now. So let's just do a friends thing. Because if it's going to be me sitting down with like the half that's supportive, then I just shafted the other half that's like not that supportive. And I want everyone to be like in a kumbaya, you know, we all support you and we all want to see like where this is going with Grant. And it just didn't look like that was going to happen. And so I made the decision at the end of the day to not have them.
Well, you're probably also thinking like, okay, let's say I just bring the family that is supportive of it, then you've got like a divide situation. Or you bring all of them and you're spending a lot of your hometown convincing some of your family of this process, how it works.
And then you're
but
probably
you're
doubting
also
yourself.
doubting the relationship. You're probably like, I don't want to spend like all this time convincing them and selling them on this situation to then see them like 2 days later when I
And also when I wasn't convinced myself.
Yeah.
When Grant and I first saw each other for the first time in Chicago, like I told him, I was like, I feel off. I feel weird. Like it's been 8, 9. He's like, it's been a few days. I was like, no, it's been like 9. It's been like 9 days, including traveling, including all of that of not seeing each other. And I just felt like if you want to know whether your relationship will, what's the phrase, like take the test of time or like survive the test of time, whatever the phrase is, like you have to spend time apart from that person, right? And then when you see each other again, like see how you feel. And I was very aware of how I felt. I was like, I feel distant. I feel like our connection is not that strong, like as strong as I thought it was, because I had just been out in the real world. I was out in Beverly Hills. Like we were like doing fun stuff. We were just like out in the world for the first time, not in this like little bachelor bubble. And so I think it was the first time where I realized, you know, I don't think it's me.
Yeah.
And I was so delusional. I was like, there's no way anyone has said I love you right now, right? At this point, there's no way. Because I don't feel that at all. And I don't think I could get there in 2 weeks. Maybe I could. That's why I stayed. Maybe I could. But at this point, I was so delusional. I thought everyone was around the same playing field as I was, because it was just not, it was such a quick process. I was like, how could anyone possibly fall in love in week 4, week 5?
Yeah.
But did you guys talk about that with the other women when you got down to it? Like the last 4 women? Did you guys have that conversation of like, you're like, I'm not really ready?
Yeah. That happened. So right after my hometown, I was the last hometown, we went back to LA and we had the producer set up this whole you know, girl chat.
Yeah.
Before the rose ceremony. And that was the first thing that I said. I said, so my family wasn't there. My hometown was just a friends thing. And we were all kind of talking about our fears moving forward. And that was the first thing I said, guys, I don't know if I can be engaged in two weeks. Like, does that not sound crazy to anyone else? And like, you could hear a pin drop.
They were all like, we're
like,
ready for a ring, Dina.
We're all
like, no, don't get me wrong. I would be ready to be engaged. I just didn't feel that with Grant.
No, totally.
Yeah. Like if I like felt it and like everything was like on the up and up, up and up, up and up the entire time, I would have been 100% there. But I didn't feel that with Grant. There just, quite frankly, just wasn't enough time. And because of the limited amount of time that I felt that I was able to spend with Grant, I thought the girls were feeling the same way.
Do you think looking back, if it had been your person that was the lead, it might have been different? Like, do you think your feelings of like, this isn't enough time, I don't know if I'm ready, had to do with both like the short time frame? Obviously, you guys had a short season also, and then in tandem with the fact that maybe Grant just like wasn't the guy for you?
That's absolutely what it was. It's just Grant wasn't my person. And it just took, the process to figure that out. And that's what the show's all about, right? Like to figure out if you are each other's person. And, you know, do I think that a longer season would have made me figure that out or would have made him my person? Probably not. I just think it took me up until hometowns to realize, oh, he's definitely not my person. And that was okay. Ultimately he found his person and that's all that mattered. And that's what it was all about. So,
Who did you think he was going to end up with? Like from that girl chat, were you like, I think maybe it could be so and so?
I mean, Latia,
Yeah.
it was Latia for me. It was Latia since we were in the house. I mean, when we were in the house, I just remember we were all talking so freely. Like I never felt, I know there's this like idea that the girls get so jealous and we're so jealous of each other's connections and things like that. We're really not because we don't know. We don't know what the connection is. Like we talk like how girls chat, but we're not like, oh, he told me that I'm his number one, or he told, we're not comparing notes in that way. We're just kind of like talking about Grant generally. Like, oh, isn't he so nice? Oh, he's so sweet. Did you see when he said this? Like we've talked that way, right? And so unless I'm there watching them interact or hearing about a conversation that they had, we really don't know where the other relationships or the connections stand, right? And so the only person that I felt in the house had such a strong connection and like really was withholding a lot was Latia. Like she always kept her peace and her cards really close to her chest and was never really like in those conversations. And you could tell it was because she felt strong feelings pretty early on. And so I always thought that. And even I remember in Scotland, like before she got her one-on-one, um, she, we had talked about it briefly in our hotel room. Like she was like, I'm screwed. Like I'm really in deep. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so. Cause this is the first time you had voiced it to me, but you just by her mannerisms, by the way that she would, um, it's just like a look, people just have like a look about them. And, obviously I was there at the puppy day too with Latia and Grant and Serafina. And I could just tell then too that their connection was pretty strong. So I always thought it was Latia. I really did.
Yeah.
Okay, so pre Women Tell All, before you go to Women Tell All, where do you stand with Carolina? Like what is your relationship like now? You guys like kind of you beefed on the show, then you kind of make up, and that's what we see going into Women Tell All.
Before Women Tell All, I think, man, this is so difficult because I think we were all navigating like the internet space and like the public attention for the first time, right?
Mhm.
And so I thought we were just fine. Like we weren't friends, I wouldn't say, but we also weren't enemies or weren't against one another in any sense of the word. I had even sent her a text at some point and say, regardless of what the internet wants to, say and like create this Carolina versus Dina divide. Like, I don't feel that against you at all, just so you know. And then we kind of exchanged some niceties and that was it.
So you two are on the same page.
We were on the same page. Yeah. And then, I think I went into Women's Tell All like super defensive because there had been a lot of online stuff. And I think the public feeding into it can sometimes feed into you. And that's like the first
Definitely.
mistake that I made is I let it really get to me. And so I went in there like kind of in lawyer mode. Like I'm just going to go there and any argument you have, I'm going to attack it. And I'm going to make sure that I prove my point, which was stupid because we're not in a courtroom and we're also not here to like win the case, right? Like we're just people having an argument, right? Or having like a disagreement on something. And I think with the TikTok that I started, remember that? I
Yeah.
posted a TikTok previewing the upcoming
Yes, yeah, yes,
episode.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that day, I think it was like earlier in the day, I had posted a TikTok of like me, Carolina, and Alex like goofing around in Madrid. It was just like a funny TikTok that we did that we were now able to post because once the Madrid episode came out, we were able to post like Madrid content, right? And so I posted that. And then later on in the day, I was getting like inundated with like just so much bachelor content, you know, and I'm like, oh, this will be like a funny way to, or like a way to preview the next episode. And it was a trending sound at the time as well. And I didn't have like a following or anything like that. So like never in a million years did I think it would get the attention or traction that it did. And then have her respond to it in that way. And then of course that made me respond because now I'm defensive. But it was never my intention to like slight her or to make her upset. Now looking back, I can totally understand why he did.
Yeah.
I truly understand why he did. And I wish that I would have texted her and said like, hey, you know, I'm seeing like this video is obviously blown up and people think that, you know, you threw me under the bus or whatever. I'm sorry that, you know, it's become that. That's not what I wanted it to be. And I should have thought it through. I should have texted you, but I didn't. And I really should have. I wish I would have.
Do you wish you would have went into Women Tell All then not defensive? Like, how would you have approached it now?
Totally.
Looking back at it, how would you approach it now?
I wish I didn't come in so defensive. I really
Okay.
do. And I think I should have laid down on my sword about a lot of that stuff and realized that Carolina was probably getting attacked left and right throughout the entire season. And when you're not in that, and it's like your algorithm will feed you what
Definitely.
is, you know, is relevant to you. You know, I wasn't seeing Carolina hate. I wasn't seeing Carolina comments. I wasn't seeing any of that. And so then when Women Tell All came out and people were like, you guys are mean and you're this and you're, I was seeing a lot of that. I was like, oh, this is probably what she was experiencing, you know, just a few episodes ago. And I had no idea. Like, you just don't know what you don't know. And so going into Women Tell All, she came in kind of hot, you know, with the words
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
her little, yeah, I don't even know what to call it,
Her
like her,
blazer.
yeah, the
Yeah,
blazer with like her
green.
sayings or her one-liners, her zingers. And so I was thinking like, okay, I guess we're up for battle. You know, I guess this is what we're doing. And so instead of hearing her and like taking it in and being like, okay, I can understand where you're coming from, taking myself out of it and responding that way, like I was just coming defensive, defensive, defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
And
also
even,
think when you go to tell all, there's so much time, not so much time actually, there's time between filming the show and then filming tell all, right? You kind of
yeah.
have that space. Whereas
Mhm.
I feel like the stuff between you and Carolina on social media was still kind of fresh. So you were both coming in with a lot of emotions and now probably talking about it, you feel a little bit more removed. And, you know,
Yeah.
hindsight's always 2020.
Totally. There was a lot of emotion. And I think had we both realized, like at the end of the day, like we are both people and we both obviously had a friendship at some point during the show, like we have to just remove ourselves from the drama of it all.
It's funny because like when you're in it, especially someone like you who goes really far, and you also have like this person that you're going up against, which is Carolina. Everything feels so important, so
Mhm.
big. It seems like
Yeah.
it's basically it's like it's all of your world. It's just
Yeah.
like
It's very
everywhere.
emotionally
Yeah.
And then when
intense.
you know 2 months later, you're like, that was so silly. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, why could I not just like chill out and be like,
Yep.
But it's
yo?
so much easier said
But
than
it's easier
done, you
said than
know?
done. No, I
Like
get it. Like
that's how
we
like
all kind of go
people
through
think
that.
they go back on and they're like, "Oh, I won't do it this time," but it's just a
Yeah.
very easy thing to
But you should have
do.
talked to my cousin because I would have given you advice. I would have given you the right
You
No,
know
advice.
you
what,
didn't
Joe?
need it. You did great.
I should have, but something that I really wanted from my experience is to go in and have no like I didn't want anything I didn't want outside noise. I didn't want advice. I didn't want like which is stupid, right? Because I just wanted to like take it raw. Just like whatever
Yeah.
happens, like just see how I'll handle it and just go in with no expectations whatsoever. Now I'm like, I'll take all the advice I can get. Like
Yeah.
tell me everything, give me all the tea. Like I want
But
to know
it's easier to receive once you have that like baseline experience of having been on the show. You know what I
everything.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
feel like now if you were to get advice, you would receive it so much differently and process it differently than if you
Mhm.
had gotten it prior to ever stepping out of the limo.
You're right. It's so different when you're living it.
Mm.
Where do you and Carolina stand now? Just friends, not friends, whatever.
mean, we're definitely not friends, but I go out of my way to not engage with any like Carolina hate or dislike or anything that could perpetuate any type of narrative towards her or me. And like I'll even respond like something nice just to get people to chill. But what I found with the internet is you just have to ignore it. Right. Like if I try to write something nice to diffuse it, it's like, well, now you're saying that because da 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 da. Da. Or if I would say something mean or like kind of, rude or whatever, it's the same thing. So I personally don't have anything against Carolina at all. I think she's a sweet, bubbly person. I think that the process, it wasn't the best environment for her, for sure. It wasn't the best environment for any of us. Like none of us are made for this environment, right? I think it's all about like how you take it and grow from it. Like now moving forward, like I always think to myself, like, is what I'm about to say in response like emotional? Or is it, where's it coming from? Like is it actually something that's going to further this discussion? It's something that I've worked on myself like since the show because I've noticed like I will allow myself to get emotional about stuff that just doesn't need it. It doesn't require an emotional response and I'll just like snap. So
And you cannot win against the internet. Like you just can't
you
win
can't.
against them. And like you look at even look at somebody like Joey, who was probably the most beloved bachelor in a very long time. Like I would say
Yeah.
Joey, like the amount of love to
Yeah,
hate,
he's like reaching like top 5
like
all
Joey's
time.
at like probably like 98% love and there's probably like 2% hate. But if he went down that rabbit hole, like it would feel like
Mhm.
everyone's against him and he could find those comments, argue with them, and then it just gets worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse. When in reality, like fucking none of that shit matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I struggle with too, right? Because I don't want to perpetuate any of that negativity towards Carolina or, our feud online. But then I wonder, like, should I just reach out to her and try to have a nice conversation with her? Or is that then going to be, well, now you want to be friends with her, even though women tell all so
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the right avenue is or what the solution is, but I have no hate or disdain or anything towards Carolina at all. So.
Yeah. I want to ask you about your time in Chicago with Latia, you, and Parisa
So now we're post show
post
people.
show.
And
You
Serafina.
and Serafina. Oh, okay, yes. All 4 of you were there. How was that? How did that come to be? Tell us about it.
So much fun. It was actually very random. I was supposed to be on trial actually at the end of March into April, and it settled. Carissa and Serafina were coming regardless. And so then my trial settled, and I was like, wait, guys, I'm going to be in Chicago now. Let's have Latia come too, because she was just finishing up with AFR. And so it came to be like very randomly. And I say that because I know that if I would have seen, a bunch of girls hanging out in a city without me and they haven't spoken to me about it or invited me, I would have felt a certain type of way. So this is just like to all the girls in my season. It just happened to work out and the girls came to Chicago. I don't want to exclude anybody. Like we're so close to everyone on our cast, like truly. And I wish everyone could come to Chicago, but I mean, we're going to be going on trips together, probably all summer long.
Soon. Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
friends with what's your friendship like with Juliana?
Um, Again, it's like the internet stuff. Like I thought everything was all good and we were friends. Like we were definitely friends while we were filming, post filming. We had exchanged a good amount of texts, checking in on each other. Like we'll send each other some nice stuff.
Mm.
But then the internet, takes me hanging out with Latia and being good friends with Latia as we're against Juliana. And it's like causing this discourse that doesn't exist. It just doesn't. It doesn't exist. And I think a large part of it was, Juliana had like a post AFR event, and then Latia had one as well. And I thought, understandably, like I had to be there for Latia because aside from the show, like outside of the show, Latia and I are friends. Like we talk about everyday life stuff that has nothing to do with the show. Juliana and I are more so like show friends. We've kept in touch, talked about the show. How are you doing after tonight's episode? How are you, how do you feel? Things like that, just like niceties. But we'd never really had like a friendship outside of like the elements of the show. And so I sent her a very nice message saying, I'm going to be there to support Latia and you, of course, I wrote, but I just wanted to kind of let her know, I know, like, thank you for inviting me to your event, but I'm going to be with Latia that night, and I assume she's not invited, kind of like that. And at the time, Latia didn't have any post AFR plans. We were just like going to get in pajamas and like order takeout and just like watch TV. But then she ended up doing like a little something that she put together. So, I mean, all that to say is I addressed it with Juliana and I gave her, my congratulations and all of that, and told her I'd be with Latia. She didn't respond to me after that. So I did think, okay, maybe she is feeling a certain type of way about it. And then post AFR, again, I texted her, I congratulated her. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there tonight. I didn't get a response. And then the internet made this like, oh, she must be team Latia, right? Like in my
Is
head,
that
there
a
isn't.
thing, like a narrative that's going around of like who's
Yeah, it's
team
like
Juliana, who's team Latia from your
yes,
season?
yes. And it's truly, for me, it's if Juliana would have had that party a different night, like let's say they just did family and friend or like close, like Boston and his friends that night, and then had another one for like the cast and stuff, I would have been there. I would have been there to
Yeah.
support. It just happened to be the same night that Latia I knew was going to have a really rough night, and
Yeah.
it was really heavy on her, and it's something
Well,
that
and it
she,
sounds like you were objectively just closer with Latia.
yeah,
Just
Also,
that's who you're
like, it's
closer with.
okay that, like, like some people just don't become friends after the show. Like, we
exactly.
all have our own, we're all adults that have our own separate lives. So it's kind of like, hey, if it doesn't work out, like, I'm not going to kill myself over this
Jeff.
friendship. What?
Sorry,
What'd you think I was going to say?
I was just not something less dramatic.
But
So
yeah,
I think we're friends. I think Julia and I are friends, at least from my end. Again, I saw what the internet was saying about Team Juliana, Team Latia. So again, I sent her a really long message saying, if you were offended by the fact that I wasn't at your event, I'm so sorry. Like I would have like I would have explained to you a little bit more about why I'm going to be with Latia. It wasn't the public doesn't get to see like really who you're friends with after the show, right? Because we have to keep that private until the finale. And so no one really knew, including Juliana, that I was really close with Latia. And so I explained that to her. I said, I still want to support you and Grant. Like, I'm really happy for you too. I like posted on my story for them, did like whatever I could to show that like I'm here supporting you guys and I'm so happy for you. It has nothing to do with like I'm Team Latia and therefore like I don't want to be a part of like your love story or like your congratulations, So yeah, that I thought that was really unfortunate that she's feeling that way about some of us. But I thought I covered my bases with her and I think we're fine.
yeah. Before we
Nope.
let you go, if you end up going to Paradise, we don't know if you're going or not. I would assume you're somebody that they would at least ask. Are there any guys that you would be interested from this franchise meeting down there?
Do you guys ever get an actual answer to this question?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. We do.
You
Like
do?
Hakeem came on
Okay.
and dropped a name. I think the guys are a little
The guys
more.
will definitely. Well, there's been. I think. Yeah. There's. Yeah.
What
we
we
do.
started to do is ask, like, if you were on here with someone else, we'd be like, who do you think Dina should match up
Okay.
with? Because people get uncomfortable saying direct names, which I totally
It's
understand.
so uncomfortable for
Yeah.
me.
But do you have your eyes on people? Like, are there people, if you don't want to share names, do you have anyone
Yeah,
in
no, I
mind?
don't. I don't have my eyes on people because I think for me, like, what's my data point? Like, what do I know about you? Like, the very little that I can see from your social media, that's just not enough. Like, in terms of if you're tall, I'm probably interested in you.
Okay, so they just got to
You
be tall.
know?
Well, luckily
So they gotta be
they
tall.
basically cast 95% tall guys on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You're
So
in a
I
good
would say
dating
that if
pool.
you're tall, you're automatically like in consideration.
Guys, if you're listening to this, you're into Dina and you're not tall, just back off.
I know, and I'm so sorry to do that to you guys. I don't
you're
mean to
gonna
be
have
like that, but my genes, like, I'm thinking about my children,
you're gonna have the one short Romanian guy come for you in
No!
Paradise.
Don't
And you're gonna
manifest
fall in
that
love
for
with him.
her.
And you're gonna be like, "This is everything I said I don't want."
Well, I think
And
I'm
I
the
love this
first
guy.
Romanian on the show, so
Yeah,
they can't do
Romanian.
that
What did
to
I
me.
say? Romanian?
No, you did. You said
You said
Romanian.
it
I said it right?
Romanian. Your
Okay.
accent just
Said it
came
right.
a little.
Okay, Dina, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. It was really
Sure.
great meeting you and talking to you. And I don't think this is going to be the last time we see you, but you never know.
Oh, you never
Hopefully
know.
not. Hopefully not.
Thanks,
And,
guys.
and to our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Bachelor Happy Hour. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast.
We have more exclusive interviews coming your way. Thanks for listening. Bye.